Did you know that the Netherlands, the king of lithography machines, has things it can't handle? Friends, I saved the Netherlands for my final stop on this trip to Europe. It takes less than 2 hours to get to Amsterdam by train from Brussels. To be honest, my impression of the Netherlands was always windmills, tulips, the red light district, and ASML, the world's top lithography machine maker. But after visiting this time, I found the current situation in the Netherlands is much more complex than we imagined. First, let me tell you a story I encountered in Amsterdam. On my second day in Amsterdam, I planned a trip to the local largest electronics market. It's just like the computer malls back home, but the difference is it doesn't just sell finished electronics. It mostly sells parts and tools. At one stall, I saw a Dutch man bargaining with the owner. He was holding a box of chips and asked for the price. The owner said 50 euros each. The Dutch man said, "That's too expensive. It was only 30 euros when I bought it last month." The owner said, "There's nothing I can do. Chip prices change daily now, and materials from China have also gone up." I thought to myself, this stall owner really knows his stuff, knowing that chip and raw material prices are rising every single day. Later, I chatted with that Dutch buyer. He said he does electronics repair, but in the past year, the price of electronic parts has risen by at least 30%, and some parts are simply unavailable now. I asked him why, and he said it's because of material shortages. Many key materials come from China, but now China's controls are getting stricter, and they often can't even get the goods. This really surprised me because I didn't expect that the Netherlands, this kingdom of the global chip supply chain, is actually facing a crisis right now. So today, let's talk about the Netherlands, a country that holds top-tier global technology but cannot do without Chinese materials. First, let's talk about my overall impression of the Netherlands. Amsterdam is definitely still that iconic city of canals, bicycles, museums, and crowds of tourists. But after a few days of in-depth visits, I also discovered it has another side that's not well known. Although I only stayed in Amsterdam for 3 days, I visited different supermarkets and markets every day. The prices there are actually higher than in Germany and France. Similarly, a bottle of water is 2.5 euros, a coffee is 3.5, and fish and chips cost 12 euros. I went to the supermarket for strawberries. The price was 4.5 euros, but there were only 10 in the box. An older Dutch lady saw me counting and said, "In the past, during summer, Dutch strawberries were very cheap. You could get a big box for 2 euros. That's the European cost of living we know, right? But now, even strawberries are becoming unaffordable." Behind this is the latest economic situation in the Netherlands in 2026. As one of Europe's wealthiest nations, the Netherlands has a per capita GDP of over 50,000 euros. But behind this prosperity lies a hidden vulnerability. What vulnerability? It's that the Dutch economy is highly dependent on international trade. The Netherlands is the world's second largest agricultural exporter and Europe's top gas producer, but its economy is tied closely to global trade trends. With global trade growth slowing in 2025, Dutch exports were also significantly affected. Data from Statistics Netherlands shows that in 2025, export growth was only 1.2%, just slightly above Germany's, but far below the average of previous years. More seriously, Dutch manufacturing is facing the risk of deindustrialization. While in Amsterdam, I made a special trip to Eindhoven, the home of ASML's headquarters. That city, though small, is full of high-tech companies, just like the Greater Bay Area in Shenzhen. ASML's factories take up a huge area, but locals say many SMEs have been leaving lately. It's not for lack of orders, but because raw material costs are too high and margins are too thin. A precision component supplier told me many of their customers moved to Asia long ago. It's not that Asian technology is more advanced than the Dutch, but because costs in Asia are much lower. In the Netherlands, labor, energy, and taxes are all expensive. It's just too much to handle. This is the vulnerability behind Dutch prosperity. It stands at the top of the supply chain, but the foundation beneath its feet is being hollowed out bit by bit. Next, let's talk about chips and materials, which is the Achilles heel of the Netherlands. Back to the topic, ASML in the Netherlands is the king of the global chip supply chain. Its EUV lithography machines are the only equipment in the world capable of making chips below 5 nanometers. But there's a problem. ASML's lithography machines cannot function without raw materials from China. During my time in Eindhoven, I specifically visited a Dutch company that trades in semiconductor materials. The boss is definitely Dutch. His name is Peter. He's been in the semiconductor raw materials business for over 20 years. He told me something very specific. He said that inside ASML's lithography machines, there are many high-precision components that require high-purity metals and special materials. A large portion of these materials is imported from China. So I asked him, if China restricts the export of these materials, what would ASML do then? Then Peter was silent for a moment and he said, production would probably stop. Those few words really shocked me in an instant. ASML's lithography machines are already the lifeblood of the global chip industry. If production stops because of Chinese restrictions, wouldn't the entire global chip industry come to a standstill? This is the Achilles heel of the Netherlands right now. It holds the world's top technology, but for the raw materials to build it, they still have to depend on China's favor. While I was in Amsterdam, I happened to be there when the Dutch government released a new critical material strategy. The goal is to reduce dependence on China from the current 60% to 40% by 2030. But I asked a researcher at a Dutch economic research institute, and he said this goal is basically impossible to achieve because China's advantage in the materials field isn't just resources, it's more about technology and the supply chain. The Netherlands can build factories, but it can't build an entire supply chain. So the contradiction for the Netherlands lies here, restricting technology exports to China on one hand, while depending on China for material imports on the other. So let's get back to what all this means for Chinese factories and those in foreign trade. As per usual, let's start with the risks. The biggest risk right now is the technology blockade. ASML's export restrictions to China will impact the development of our semiconductor industry. This is a significant challenge for companies involved in chips, equipment, and materials. But there's also the fact that China is accelerating its independent innovation. At the recent exhibition in Frankfurt, many semiconductor companies said that since ASML won't sell to us anymore, we'll just build it ourselves in China. While a technological gap remains, it's narrowing year by year. In other words, while the Dutch tech blockade hits Chinese manufacturers in the short term, it will actually force industrial upgrades in China in the long run. So what are the opportunities during this time? It's the domestic substitution of materials and components. Now, many Chinese traders dealing in high-purity metals are looking at it this way. European semiconductor firms used to source high-purity metals from Japan and Germany, but over the last 2 years, they've started switching to Chinese suppliers. This is because Chinese quality now meets international standards and is very price competitive. This means that in the semiconductor materials sector, Chinese companies are evolving from followers into true competitors. There's another opportunity here, and that's technical cooperation. The Netherlands has a unique advantage in precision lithography manufacturing, while China's strengths lie in materials and large-scale production. If both sides could cooperate instead of the current confrontation, it would be highly beneficial for everyone. At the exhibition, I also saw many Dutch precision materials companies in talks with Chinese material suppliers. The Dutch will handle the design and engineering, while the Chinese provide the materials and production capacity. This model of Sino-Dutch cooperation will become increasingly common. Let's also take a look at the local Dutch attitude toward China. Like many European countries, it's a mix of awe and contradiction. During my time in the Netherlands, I chatted with many people, like taxi drivers, restaurant owners, cashiers, and merchants at the expo. I was quite the social butterfly. My overall impression is that their awe comes from the tech parks in Amsterdam. They know Chinese tech is advancing so fast. They really admire companies like Huawei, DJI, and BYD, and they use their products a lot in their daily lives. This sense of awe is really the Dutch acknowledging China's technological prowess. But there's also contradiction behind it. When I was talking to a Dutch company, they mentioned something that showed how conflicted they are. On one hand, they need the Chinese market, its industry and supply chains. On the other hand, they're worried about China having a stranglehold on them. This contradiction is the true mindset of the Netherlands. Yes, you heard that right. The Dutch need China, yet they fear it. Isn't this just the Dutch version of supply chain anxiety? Finally, let me summarize my impressions from this trip to the Netherlands. First, the Netherlands is very wealthy, but also very fragile. Its economy is highly dependent on international trade, so any minor disturbance can shake its foundations. Second, the Dutch contradiction is restricting tech exports to China while being heavily reliant on China for material imports. This awkward, conflicted state is unlikely to change anytime soon. Third, for Chinese exporters, tech blockades are a risk, but domestic material substitution and tech cooperation are also opportunities. Fourth, the Dutch attitude toward China is one of awe and contradiction. This complex mindset means the trade tug-of-war will persist for a long time. Lastly, here's the counterintuitive observation. In this game, no side can actually achieve complete and total independence. The more restrictions there are, the fiercer the competition becomes.